how to eat like a king in prison. That's right. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to eat like a true king while you're in prison. This is the tried, true, and tested method that 100% works if you want to eat like Caesar, Augustus, or Genghis Khan while you're doing time in prison. Now, before we get into the tried, true, and tested method of eating like a king in prison, we're going to discuss the ways on how not to eat like a king in prison. These ways may be tempting, but do not give in to the flesh. Do not give in to the desire to feed the flesh and feed the almighty God called the belly. Do not give in, because these ways will turn you into something that you don't want to be. Number one way that you want to avoid when it comes to eating like a so-called king in prison is, man, don't give up your booty to eat like a king. If you're hungry, don't give up your manhood to fulfill your fleshly desire to feed your belly. Don't give in. Many people are going to place Snickers bars underneath your pillow. They're going to try to bait you in with a store sheet and saying, I know you're hungry. I know you need to eat. It's all you got to do is give me this. They're going to try to talk you into it psychologically and take your manhood so you can be fed. And yeah, you might eat good because prison's old man is going to take care of his prison punk. He's going to feed them. He's going to make sure they're good. But do not give in to that temptation, because you're going to go home, a different man than you came in. And listen, you do want to go home a different man than you came in, but you don't want to go home a punk, The next way that you don't want to give in when it comes to being a king in prison and eating is you don't want to start stealing. Don't start stealing, because you're going to start breaking in people's lockers so you can get that Snickers bar, that whatchamacallit, that bag of chips, them ramen noodles, them Zuzus and Wham Whams, and you're going to get shanked up. They're going to kill you. You're going to get it. You don't want to die behind trying to eat good. You don't want to die eating a molly or a blanket. You don't want to lose your life for it. So that's the next way that you want to avoid when it comes trying to, to learn what it is to try to eat like a king in prison. Don't steal. You already was a thief. It put you in prison. Don't keep stealing in prison unless you want to go to prison and you don't have no intent to change. But most people who got common sense want to get out of prison and live a different life when they get out. They don't want to remain the same. All these other, channels where there's a whole bunch of people that act like staying in prison and staying a criminal is some kind of badge of honor. It's a badge of stupidity. 1, 2, 3, a beach with a nice sunset, my sand and my feet. Yeah, that's right. The sand granules upon my feet has got me calm. There's the waves crashing. The waves crashing. It's so nice. 3 deep breaths, right? And all of a sudden I'm back in the cell block. So the best thing that you can do if you want to eat like a king in prison is, now I'm calm, please stay with me. I'm going to teach you the tried and true method to eat like a king in prison. This is guaranteed because I was the king in prison. I ate like a king. I ate better than anybody in this particular jail I was in. The number one way that you can become a king in prison, that's right. If you want to know what it's like to be Caesar, and listen, there's a quote that says, and I don't know if it was Herman Melville who said the quote. Maybe it was Herman Melville who said, if you want to know what it's like to be a king, then invite people to your dinner table, right? When you're serving people, you're living like Caesar, because everybody wants to come and see and eat the great food or the great banquet or the great meal that you put together, right? I know that don't make no sense. Maybe it's flying over some heads, but when you are having people gathered around your table and you put together this awesome banquet, then you can see what it truly feels like to be a king. Now, the way to become that king in prison is you have to get one job. There's only one job in prison where you can get that will guarantee you will eat like a king and you will have king status on the compound because you have access to stuff that nobody else does. And that is becoming a kitchen clerk. That's right. If you become a kitchen clerk, you will know what it's like to eat like a king in prison. I was a kitchen clerk. The particular jail I'm talking about, there was only 2 kitchen clerks and I was one of them. And we had to deal with the food. In other words, checks and balances as the food came in and out. The overall manager of the kitchen, who was a free person, put us in charge because they don't want to do nothing. The less they got to do to get their check, the better. So they put the convicts or the inmates in charge of the food and you checking it off. Well, they had the food truck that would come in and we got cool with the people who did the food truck. Most of the people who did the food truck, some of them even been to prison and some of them know people in prison. And they ain't most of them really don't care about the company that they're delivering food from. So you can get them and you might have a certain order that's coming through. They'll toss you extra cartons of eggs. I don't mean cartons, I'm talking boxes. They will give you extra boxes of eggs, extra boxes of milk. Yes, even steaks and seafood such as lobster we have obtained through the delivery trucks that came to the prison. And when everybody else was eating grueling slop, we were eating steak and lobsters in the back that we cooked on our own. Yeah, we had to break bread with the cooks, but we ate like kings in prison, and we used to work out on a weight pile, and every last one of us wasn't just eating steak and lobster, and I ain't exaggerating. We were getting steak, and it might have been, frozen steak and frozen lobster or whatever, but it was still steak and lobster. We got redfish, we got catfish, pork chops, unending supply of eggs and milk. We had, cakes. Everything we got by getting cool with the particular delivery drivers of the vendors who delivered the food into the prison, and they broke bread. And most of them didn't require nothing back. Of course, we would pay the officers to bring in stuff like alcohol, or we would pay the officers to bring in, special little ingredients that we might want. But then the prison also had ingredients so we can use. So if you can become a kitchen clerk, you could eat like a king and you can make money. That's right, I made money. And I got supplements and I got all kind of extra benefits by being the kitchen clerk, because I was able to move and groove and slang different ingredients and different products that I got from the different vendors who came into the prison. So that is the number one way to eat like a king in prison, is if you go to a particular prison. Now, you got to be about your business, because people are going to try to strong arm and take advantage. So you're going to have to fight. You have to, lay the law down a little bit, let people know you don't play that. And once you do, you're going to have your people you're cool with, and you're going to be established. But become an established kitchen clerk, and you can eat like a king in prison. Give me a like, thumbs up, and subscribe. And thanks for watching With or Without Parole.